All right, go for it.
Good morning, my dear friends. We are on the precipice of Rosh Hashanah, and I had an interesting idea I wanted to share with you about the upcoming holiday. Rosh Hashanah, of course, is the day that marks the creation of man. It's the day of judgment. There's a lot of different themes going on, and it's really interesting to see what is chosen to be the Torah portions of Rosh Hashanah that we read in Rosh Hashanah. On the first day of Rosh Hashanah, we read chapter 21 of the book of Genesis, which tells the story of the birth of Isaac and the banishment of Ishmael. And the second day of Rosh Hashanah, we read chapter 22, the next chapter in Genesis, which is the binding of Isaac episode. Now, the binding of Isaac episode, it has a lot to do with Rosh Hashanah, of course, because we know that the ram's horn was trapped in the thicket, and that ram's horn evokes mercy for the Jewish people. So there's a lot of themes there that really fit. But it's really interesting, the first day's reading of Rosh Hashanah, it's not immediately clear what exactly is the connection between Rosh Hashanah. So I wanted to speculate an idea with y'all today. And this is a very Musar idea, so if you don't like it, I understand. It's a little bit intense. So there's a very interesting comparison between two words in the reading. We know that Isaac's Hebrew name is Yitzchak, which means he will laugh. It means laughter. And the reason why he's named laughter is because when it was foretold that Isaac is going to be born to Sarah at the age of 90, it's such a funny thing. Oh my goodness, think of what the Almighty is doing. Isn't that hilarious? And people could erupt in joyous, uproarious laughter and delight in God's benevolence and kindness. And to symbolize that, he's named Yitzchak. Now, in the very same section, it has the same word. When Ishmael is banished, it says that Sarah saw him mitzachek, laughing. And Rashi gives us three interpretations what that means. It means either he was doing idolatry, or he was doing adultery, or he was doing murder. And isn't it interesting that the identical word, Yitzchak, mitzachek, the same root word, in the very same citation, is being used to describe this delightful, joyous, thankful laugh that we have at God's goodness. And the identical word in the same citation is describing the worst sins possible. The three cardinal sins that is the reason why Ishmael's banished from the house. So maybe we could speculate that really is the harbinger or portent of what the judgment of Rosh Hashanah is. When we see something, we only see the surface. We see a good deed, for example. We see a mitzvah. And we see two people doing an identical mitzvah. In our view, it looks the same. If we see Sarah laughing and we see, so to speak, Ishmael laughing, they're both mitzachek. To us, it might look the same. It's identical. But the Torah is revealing to us that the Almighty kind of penetrates the absolute depth of people's behavior. And when Sarah's laughing, it's such an emotional upswell of love of God that becomes the name of Isaac, one of the forefronts of the Jewish people forever. It's one of the highlights of Jewish history, when Sarah's mitzachek. And when Ishmael does the same thing, so maybe on the surface it looks the same thing. It's the same word, right? It's the same verb. It's the same activity. But when Ishmael does what ostensibly appears to be the same thing, says the Torah, no, you're misunderstanding. This is actually the worst thing. This is at the core, at the essence, it's really terrible. It's one of the three cardinal sins. The Musarites, they always tell us that we can never be too confident in ourselves. Because if we're doing a mitzvah, we're sure it's a mitzvah, it's possible in God's eyes, it's actually a sin. And actually, conversely, if we do a sin, it's possible that in God's eyes, it's a mitzvah. Because only the Almighty is able to plumb the depths of people's hearts and people's character and know exactly what's going on and what really matters. And I think that's a little bit terrifying for Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is a day of judgment, but it's not us doing the judgment. If it was us doing the judgment, then Sarah's laughter and Ishmael's laughter is the same thing. They're both Yitzchak Mitzachai, they're both laughing. But it's God doing the judgment. That's why it's a little bit careful. We have to try to examine ourselves, but examine ourselves with such integrity and sincerity to make sure that it's not just on the surface that we're righteous and moral and upstanding, but at the very heart, the very core, the very essence of our behavior, our deeds, our actions, our thoughts are all indeed righteous, and may we be so meritorious that our Yitzchak is indeed like Sarah's and not like Ishmael's.
Thank you, Rabbi Yaakov. Everyone please rise as we will blow the shofar now. All right, everyone, have a terrific day. Thank you so much for joining us.